almost there.
Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I'm going to critique your deadlift form. Before I get into that topic, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. The best topic ideas I turn into videos just like this. Alright, let's hop right into it. I asked you to send me your deadlift form videos. I'm going to critique them in this video. Let me know if you guys like this, if you want me to continue to do videos like this, or if it's just too damn long. Alright, let's get into it. All right, this is video one, first submission. I appreciate you guys submitting these. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Okay, first thing I'm going to look at is where your feet are under the bar, if you're paying attention. Generally, because this is the first video, I'm going to kind of cover this point. I won't try to beat it up a lot, but you want to, when you look down, you want to see about 40% of your feet sticking out in front of the bar. That's a really good starting point. You can adjust from there after we kind of comb through your deadlift form and see if you need to make micro adjustments. But overall, it's good to see you checking that out. So let's just see what happens. Okay, you want to get a nice good grip on the bar before you sink your hips. And he's checking out that booty in the squat rack, checking out the booty in the squat rack. Okay, so a couple of things here, and I don't know if he's going to pull from this position, but you can see the center of the barbell. You want to see the center of the shoulder just a hair in front of the center of the barbell. That's a good place to start. You don't want to see the center of the shoulder directly over the barbell, because if so, you're seated a little too far back, and when you pull, your hips are going to come up a little bit. Now, on the opposite side of things, if your shoulder, the center of your shoulder is too far in front of the barbell, which is the case here, when you pull, your hips are going to come up as well. You can't, the deadlift is a game of small adjustments. If you're too seated or shoulders over the bar, your hips are going to come up. If your shoulders are too far forward, your weight is too far forward and your hips are going to come up. Now look at the hips. The center of the hips, or the hip crease, compared to the shoulders. You can see it's a little bit high, so not quite as seated as you should be. Head is too far forward. I'm not sure if you're going to keep this position as you pull. Let's take a look. Okay, so you did kind of pull things back a little bit. Good hip discipline. Okay, I want to pull back on that a little bit. Okay, one thing we look for in the deadlift is hip discipline. When you pull, when you're yanking the bar off the ground, people have a tendency not to keep their hips in place. They just kind of pull and their hips fly up faster than their shoulders. When you see a good deadlift from the side, you want to see those hips staying in place, not rising up the first several inches the bar leaves the ground. You can see the bar is off the ground here by an inch or two, and the hips are in place. And that's really good execution. Now, let's see what happens. Now, as he set the bar down, you can see the bar rolling a little bit, just a little bit. This is something you guys need to pay attention to. Did you see that? It can roll too close to your body. It can roll too far away from your body. So be very aware of that. You want to have it in about the same starting position. Here it's too close to the body. And you can see his hips are up, shoulders are too far forward. Okay, so this gentleman has really good hip discipline. He just needs to get the center of his shoulder a little bit in front of the center of the bar and not so far in front of the center of the bar. Overall, I would rate that a pretty strong deadlift. All right, video number 2. This one's a little bit backwards, so let's take a look. Gentleman is checking his foot position, which is a good sign. Let me mute the audio here so I don't get blocked by YouTube. I'll get this video blocked by YouTube. So looking at your feet, this is what we want to see. Again, you want to see when you look down from this position, you want to see about 40% of your shoe sticking out. One thing I don't like here is the watch. I don't want that rubbing against your thigh. Sometimes when you pull, the inside of your hand can rub against your pants. And with that watch, I don't like throwing that variable in the mix. That's just a minor thing. So let's see what happens. You want to grip the bar with your hips high. Watch for bar roll. This is something you guys need to pay attention to. When you're gripping the bar, you don't want that bar to roll forward or get pulled back. Okay, so in this starting position, I'm getting a little bit nervous. Hips are super high. Remember from the last video, you don't want to see the center of your shoulders over the center of the bar. You want to see the center of your shoulders just a hair in front of the center of the bar. Here, shoulders are way forward from his ear to his hip crease is just a little bit above parallel to the ground. So this is really high hips. Let's hope this individual sinks his hips. And no, we have a back the lower. This is what you would consider a lower back destroying deadlift. Weight is too far forward. Weight is probably on your toes. Hips were too high when he's pulling. Let's see how the rep. Pretty good hip discipline. Okay, watch that bar roll when you set it down. Again, weight is too far forward. You want to have the center of the shoulder just a little bit in front of the center of the bar. Hips need to come down, and you need to make sure your weight is on your heels. If you guys don't know if the weight is on your heels, temporarily raise and then lower your big toe. So really good hip discipline. If we can backtrack here. Okay. What we look for is that hips don't come up faster than the shoulders. So here you can see as he pulls, the shoulders move up, but the hips don't move up. See that? That's a good thing. That's called hip discipline. In many cases, when people pull, the hips will be the first to come up. The hips will rise faster than the shoulders. So the beautiful thing about this is this gentleman simply needs to get his hips down a little bit more, the shoulders just a little bit in front of the center of the bar, and he will be good to go. Now let's just follow through here for a second. Okay, good hip discipline there. Good hip discipline. A lot of good consistency. So overall, just needs a very minor adjustment. All right, here's a third critique, and this is the start of the video. Gentleman has a grip on the bar. I didn't see what happened before. Hips kind of are in a good position. Weight is too far forward here. It's not exactly a side-on view, so it should be good enough, but let's see what happens. Okay, so backtrack just a little bit. He's pulling his weight down, pulling his hips down, which is good. I want to see that. The only thing I'm concerned of when looking at this is if you look at where his foot is and where the bar appears to be, it looks like the bar is too far forward, but it's really hard to tell from this angle because it's not directly side on. As he pulls his hips down, he wants to make sure his weight is on his heels. Okay, a little bit rough there. Let's just backtrack and see what we can see here. This is the starting position. It's not bad. You can see it looks like the center of the shoulder is perfect, just a hair in front of the center of the bar. Hip position is good. But I think what happens from this position is we have a yanker. And don't take offense to this, but instead of trying to stand up and keep your hips locked into place, okay, you don't want to see your hips rise faster than your shoulders when you pull. You need to keep hip discipline. The bar might feel slower off the ground, but if you keep that hip discipline and keep those hips locked into place, as you try to stand up instead of yank or pull the bar off the ground, your leverage will actually get better. So let's watch. Okay, did you see that? That was a yank. And you can kind of see right there, hanging out over the bar. Just a lot of lower back stress. Right there, you can see hips are way up. Just a lot. You can just see right there is very telling. A lot of weight forward. Your hips are high compared to your shoulders. I'm trying to backtrack. This is when the bar is getting pulled off the ground. Okay, watch this. See where the hips are and the shoulders are. This is really stressing the lower back. Now compare the hips here. The bar's not even off the ground yet. Compare your hips here to where you were when you started. See? That's where you started. What your shoulders, the bar hasn't left the ground. Okay? Your hips are coming up. See that? That's bad hip discipline. You're trying to yank, you're trying to crank that bar off the ground, and that's your only focus, and you have no focus on keeping those hips disciplined. So what happens? Hips come up. Watch the lower back round. Watch right there. See it? Loose tightness. Done. Done. All lower back stress. So what we need to do in this case is setup was pretty good. We need to focus on keeping the hips stapled in place as you pull the bar off the ground and stop trying to yank. Instead, think about standing straight up to initiate the pull. All right, next video. The gentleman is getting his grip set before he pulls. Hips are high, so I assume he checked his foot position. Foot position looks pretty reasonable. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so overall not bad. The thing that's bothering me here is that the weights don't, I don't know if this is just me or the angle, the weights don't look high enough, tall enough. They look maybe an inch short. Maybe that's just an eyeball thing. Hips are a little bit high here. But again, that's just a general, when we talk about positioning the center of your shoulder compared to the center of the bar, here the center of the shoulder looks just a hair in front of the center of the bar, but hips are up a little bit. And some of this can be limb lengths and leverages. So that's general advice, general starting position advice. But overall, for this individual, it looks like he has longer legs and it looks like his weight is a little bit forward. So in this case, the shoulder position compared to the center of the bar is fine, but I would make sure your weight is on your heels. Again, raise your big toe just slightly and then lower it to make sure. And I would try to, the hip position seems fine. It seems more of a limb lengths and leverages issue. Head position is fine. Let's just see what happens here. Reset a little bit, but back in the same position. You can see the center of the shoulder is just a hair in front of the center of the bar. That's perfect. I'm scared about those hips because they just did a little bit of went up. See what's going on there? You want to make sure that core is tight. If you're not sure, brace it. Think about somebody is about to punch. Think like this. Somebody's about to punch you in the gut. You brace your core. You can kind of see the hips dancing a little bit. See the pressure on the lower back changing? Let's see. Okay. So hips are coming up. I believe hips are going to come up faster than the shoulders here. Let's watch. About at the same. Hips and shoulders are coming up at about the same time, but you don't want that. You want to see the shoulders coming up while the hips don't move the first 3 or 4 inches off the ground. What's going to happen is you're going to hang out over the bar a little bit and you're going to stress your lower back. The height of those plates are still bothering me. I don't know if that's a smaller plate or what, but for some reason it just doesn't look, it looks a little bit too short. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack and run at full speed. Overall, just a little bit. Overall, it's just needs a little minor discipline. Overall, it's a pretty disciplined pull, But I think you really need to focus on getting don't let those hips move at all. The first few inches, the bar leaves the ground. You can see that little hip dip where the hips are coming up. Let's see if we can catch it. Watch the hips. They push back, down, and then up. There. You don't want to see that. You want to see it stay here, and you want to see the shoulders drive up. All right, next video. You guys have surprised me so far. Things have been pretty good. No major issues. So overall, you guys are doing really good. Let's see what we got here. Again, when you look down, you want to see about 40% of your feet in front of the bar, and it looks like you pretty much got that here. You might be a little bit, the bar might be a little bit forward, but it's hard to tell. So let's just kind of roll forward here. Whoa, watch that bar roll. Do you see that? This is something you guys need to be watch. Boom, 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 right? You got to be you really cautious about that. If you're where your deadlift tends to roll, the bar tends to roll, put like a 2.5 pound plate in front under the plate so it doesn't roll forward. Because if the deadlift is a game of quarter inches, and if that bar rolls a little bit, it can transfer, put your weight forward a little bit, and transfer the stress on your lower back. And there, it looks like the bar rolled a little bit forward. Let's see if he pulls it back. Okay, so this is a perfect starting position. This excites me. Center of the shoulder is just a hair in front of the center of the bar. Hips are in a really good position. Head is about where you want to see it. You don't want to see it perfectly neutral. This is going to be perfect. You want to see him driving his head up without seeing those hips move at all. So let's see where this goes. Good discipline. You fought it, okay? You fought it. This is a big part of the deadlift. Not perfect. You want to keep fighting it. But those hips are going to want to come up, and you're going to have to fight them. Now you can see, you also want to fight the bracing. Once you have that core braced, you want to keep it tight and don't relax it. I'm not sure that that's what happened here, but you can kind of see, watch the lower to mid back, just kind of round slightly. It's very nuanced, and I'm not even sure it's happening. But you brace by pretending like someone's going to punch you in the gut, right? And you want to keep that as you keep those hips locked in a position. So he did a really good job of keeping those hips in place. Just make sure your core is braced nicely. Let's see if you can replicate that. Good. That's good hip discipline. You can see the hips do not come up when he initiates the pull. That's what you want to see. The deadlift might feel slower off the ground. Okay, it might feel slower off the ground. Whoops. See that? Watch the hips compared to that third barbell, fixed barbell on the rack behind him. You can see the hips come up a little bit. But still, it's not bad hip discipline. Not bad. When you initiate the pull, you want to minimize that. It's going to happen here, but you can see the difference in leverages. Just a little bit up, and it's more stress on the lower back. Watch the lower back. Flat, round, flat, round, flat, round, flat, round. That's why you want to keep hip discipline. It'll keep your leverages. It'll keep the stress off your lower back. All right, let's roll on here and see what we have. You can see the plates here look more normal size compared to the video previously. Not the last one, but the one before where I was saying plate height didn't look correct. Look, this looks normal. The plate height that gentleman was deadlifting 2 videos before, the plate height looked a little bit shorter. So let's see what we got here. Got a grip on the bar. You haven't sunk your hips yet. All right, a little bit unsure of the starting position. Hips are okay. but you're probably just a hair too far forward. Let's watch. Okay. I'm going to backtrack a little bit and see if we can kind of see where the hips are when he starts to pull relative to the shoulders. The hips are almost equal to the shoulders. The hips came up. Let's backtrack it. See, watch. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Pretty good starting position. And a lot of the starting position is going to depend how you look from the side is going to depend on your limb lengths and leverages. Longer legs, you might look a little bit more cramped, shorter torso. Overall, the center of the shoulder is just a hair in front of the center of the bar. That's good. The angle of the knee to the hips is pretty good. The issue here is this: boom, 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 boom. Watch the bar. Watch the plates. They only leave the ground by maybe a half inch, but those hips, right? Those hips are coming up. You're kind of yanking or pulling. You don't want to see those hips come up. You want to see the hips stay in that same position as the shoulders move up. So the distance that the hips traveled here, right here, you want to see those hips stay in the same place while the shoulders travel that distance. Does that make sense? That's what you want to see. So let's just kind of fast forward it a little bit. One thing that's bothering me here as well is look at the lower back. I don't believe your core is braced, or maybe not braced enough. Again, think about this. Somebody's about to punch you in the stomach. Just clench that core. So let's see if we have a second rep here. That first rep was really going to stress the lower back. Okay, second rep was sloppy. Second rep, okay, the bar comes down, doesn't really reset. He just pulls. See how high the hips are up, how curved the lower and mid back is. Look how far forward these shoulders are. The center of the shoulder is in front of the center of the bar. He kind of tightens a little bit. The core hips are still high. Kind of a minor attempt at sitting back, but look how far forward those shoulders are. And just starts to pull. This is a cat back deadlift. You didn't take time to reset after that rep. Your hips are super high, shoulders are super forward, and that's going to explode your spine out of your back like a scene from Alien. All right, moving on. Let's see what we got here. We got looks like a really nice basement gym. And let's see what kind of trouble we can get in. Checking his foot position. That looks good. Might be a little bit too far under the bar. You can kind of see, when you look down, you want to see about 40% of your feet sticking out in front of the bar. Here it looks like the bar is almost on your shins. So just keep an eye on that. You might have to move back a little bit. If you're too far forward, this sounds trivial, but if you're too far buried under the bar, it's going to push your weight a little bit forward. And as I stated, every quarter inch matters. Leverage matters in the deadlift. So little micro adjustments like this can add up to big things. So let's see what happens. All right. As he jostles around, you can kind of almost see the bar is almost on your shin. So you look a little bit buried under the bar. Let's see if that transfers into a rougher deadlift. All right, getting a grip on life, getting a grip on the bar. Okay, so here we have, I don't know if this is going to be where you pull from, but this is, if you pull from this position, hips are too far forward, or shoulders are too far forward, hips are too high, it's going to destroy your lower back. Some of this, again, has to do with limb lengths and leverages. So when you see your hips compared to your shoulders and they're just barely below the center of your shoulder, that's too high for your limb lengths and leverages. Your weight is too far forward. I'm not sure if you're going to stay in this position, but you can see the center of your shoulders way too far forward in front of the center of the bar. This is going to crush your lower back if you pull from this position. So that was super light. Okay. Let's watch that in real time. Okay, so the hip discipline was good, but that weight was light as heck. I mean, you can't really gauge the impact of bad starting position if the weight is super light. This looks, I don't know, like 155, 165. That's not enough weight to really throw your form off. It looks kind of like a warm-up set for you. So form is fine, but you can't really judge form on a light warm-up set simply because where you started, what do you got? 165 maybe, somewhere around there. Who knows? Close enough, right? But if this was like 275, you're going to see those hips fly up and you're going to see that lower back hate you. It's really easy to keep that lower back tight when the weight is light. See how high those hips are there and how far forward those shoulders are? As you move up in weight, it's not going to be forgiving at all. So good discipline, but it's hard to critique this video because it's more like a warm-up set. Alrighty, and this one looks like we're going to dive straight in. I appreciate you clipping the video a little bit. We're right at the starting position, and it looks like you're a little bit forward. You're a little bit forward for your limb lengths and leverages. It's hard to tell. Hips look a little bit high. I don't really mind where your shoulder position is relative to the center of the bar. You look a little bit buried, maybe too far forward under the bar. I can't really tell from this camera angle. I would say make sure about 40% of your foot is sticking out in front of the bar when you're standing up. If this gentleman is too far forward, and I don't think he is, but if he is, that would toss him a little bit forward. So let's just kind of see what happens since we're going right into the fire here. Okay, so he sunk his hips a little bit. Let's see. Hips are up. Watch the hips go down. Boom. Boom. Again, every quarter inch matters. Every quarter inch matters in the dead. From here, this is a really good starting position. This is a really good starting position. Watch the difference between this. Center of the shoulders, just a hair in front of the center of the bar. Hips are good. You want to see him drive those shoulders up without those hips moving. Let's just backtrack a little bit. Boom. See, a little bit, the shoulders were a little bit forward, hips a little bit up. See that? Okay, if you're not certain from this position whether you're fully locked in, try to take the slack out of the bar without pulling the bar off the ground. Lift the bar, pull up on the bar slightly like this. Watch. See how he did that? If you take the slack out of the bar, that'll kind of set you or has the potential to help set you that extra little quarter inch, that extra little bit to get you in a position. So from here, I think the major issue is just discipline and technique. You're in a really good starting position. You want to make sure that core is braced. Keep that core tight. Just brace it like someone's about to punch you. Drive those shoulders up. Keep the core tight. You don't, and this is what happens. He's pulling on the bar. See, the shoulders aren't moving, but the hips are a little bit. Hips are pulling forward. The plates aren't even off the ground, and the lower back's already compromised. See the lower back getting worse and worse? The shoulders are barely moving, but the hips are moving. Watch the hips. Watch the hips. Okay, you need to staple those hips in place, stop pulling on the bar, and drive your shoulders, drive your head up. This seems like a small thing, but from here, you got the cat back going on. It's killing your lower back, and it's all lack of hip discipline. So from here, you fight it, you fight it, you fight it. You do not let those hips come up. You keep them stapled in place. Think about it. You got $1 million on the line. If you don't let those hips move much and you drive those shoulders up, you have a completely different deadlift. And here we just kind of went into the second rep. This is common where guys will set the weight down, they won't reset, and the second rep can be a little bit sloppier. So weight still off the ground, boom, hips up. You start pulling from right here. Okay, you didn't reset. You start pulling your second rep right here. Shoulders are too far forward, hips are too far up, and watch, you start pulling right there. And as you pull, it's going to throw as you pull that slack out of the bar, see how the shoulders are trying to seek that better leverage position? The shoulders are going to naturally move back into that position where they need to be, just a hair in front of the center of the bar. But look at your lower back. And your lower back is paying the price. Too far forward, you pull the slack out of the bar, your shoulders get in position, but your lower back's crushed. And from here, it's all over. All right, we got a good starting point here. We got the massive iron flag in the background, so I appreciate your support. Let's kind of fast forward it a little bit and see if we can find ourselves a lifter. All right. All right, so checking your foot position before you pull. Good. About to grab the bar. Let's just get down to business here. All right, let's see what happens. Let's kind of move forward until you feel ready to pull. Looks like you might have a little bit of a, when it comes to arm length and leg length, you might have a little bit longer legs compared to arms. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so yeah, it looks like you might be a little bit compact, like longer legs and arms. But shoulders look a little bit forward here. Weight looks a little bit forward, but the angle is not directly side on, so it's hard to tell. So let's just kind of roll it and see what happens. Okay, so I'm looking at things, and we only got like 10 pounders on the bar. Is that correct? The hips are, now look at the hips. You look at the hips compared to the shoulder and how far forward the head is in front of the bar. In cases where you have kind of maybe you're not certain regarding limb lengths, like are the arms a little bit shorter than the legs, or what's the case? What's going on here? Just look at the hips compared to the shoulders. The hips just look a little bit high. So you probably want to get seated a little bit more. You don't want to look like your head's that far in front of the bar. Shoulders are just a tad in front of the bar. And hips and shoulders are rising at the same time. Just kind of focus on keeping those hips in place. The first 3 or 4 inches you pull the bar off the ground, that'll help you with acceleration. Something I'm noticing here, and I don't see any other plates, is that this looks like you only have 10 pounders on. That's really hard to judge when it comes to the deadlift. You might have, it looks like there's a little bit of weight when that bar comes down, so maybe there's a little bit more. So I can't see. So let's just assume there's more. Right here, let's check out the second rep. A little bit forward, way forward. See that? Hips high, shoulders way in front of the bar. Let's see if you're correct. The bar just rolled back towards the shins. See that little movement? That's going to throw more of your weight forward. If you pull from this position, it's just a back-destroying deadlift. Let's move forward, see if you're correct. Seated a little bit, but you're still super forward. That no real core bracing. You can just see everything in your back is a little bit loose. And watch the hips. You got that booty dance going on there. Hips are coming up before you even pull. Watch the bar. It rolls even closer to your shins. Those little things matter. This right here, hips up, bar rolling towards your shins, that's going to crush you when you start to pull. You got to be aware of those little things. You seat it. All right, I like what I'm seeing. You're getting back in position a little bit better, a little bit more neutral. This looks a little bit better than the first. A little bit better than the first. Let's see if we can look at this. Your nose, look at the flag in the background. Your nose has about an inch or so on the iron, okay? White left on the iron. Let's see where you were. Let's see where you were on the first one. Whoops, where are you? You're actually a little bit, okay. You're actually a little bit further back. Let's see where you go here. I think some of the bar rope might be messing me up. Let's see what happens here. Hips coming up, hips coming up. So just watch that. You want to keep those hips in place. All right, last video. Let's kind of fast forward here till we get past the straps and all the stuff. Get yourself some VersaGrip Pros. Save yourself like 10 minutes per workout. All right, so we got the grip on the bar. Your foot position looks good. Getting ready to sink the hips. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get in here. Raise the hips. I like to see that. Just make sure that bar doesn't roll and it looks pretty good. One side's moving a little bit. And what do we got? Adjustments of the straps, maybe. Watch that. Watch the bar. See how it rolled in, rolled out, rolled in, rolled out. Watch that roll. Okay, here your shoulder, the center of your shoulder is way in front of the center of the bar. Let's hope you get set. Still there. Set a little bit. Good head position. Center of the shoulders looks a little bit forward of the center of the bar. Let's see how your hip discipline looks. Try to keep the hips from moving while you drive those shoulders up. See this? Watch the shoulders. Shoulders come straight up. But what this is telling me with the hips coming up as straight as along with the shoulders is that the weight might be a little bit lighter, not super challenging, because I don't see any real stress there. But just try to keep the hips where they are. While you're pulling the shoulders here, and then let's watch it in real time. A little bit of weight on the bar. Not bad. I want to see that second rep. Okay, let's watch this more slowly. Not bad. The only thing I want to see is a little bit more hip discipline. Overall, you look really good. Things are pretty solid. The center of the shoulders are just a hair in front of the center of the bar. Try to keep your hips in place and not let that happen. You're strong enough to compensate, but we want to kind of get a little bit better leverage position. So, or we want to encourage a little bit more natural leverage. Keep those hips right there as you pull the bar off the ground the first 3 or 4 inches, and then let the hips rise.